The big news item that was making the rounds yesterday, Jonathan Alexander of the Chronicle had an exclusive on this. Good job, Jonathan. That the Texans are seeking a new location for their headquarters. So it would be the headquarters, it would be the practice fields, the weight rooms, the meeting spaces. A lot of these things in the stadium that they've done major upgrades to over the last couple of years. You know, the cafeteria, all these things that they are looking for somewhere in Houston to kind of separate the business and the practice side. The stadium, for Texans purposes, would be a game day venue only. And this is what, Seth, most of the league has, an arrangement like this. I didn't realize that the Texans were one of only 4 teams that house their headquarters and their practice facility in the same either building or area as their stadium. The other 3 are Cincinnati, New England, and Carolina. But this is, and Hannah McNair has some interesting quotes here that we'll get to in a second. But what were your initial thoughts when you saw this yesterday?
And just as a quick bookkeeping part of it too, I wonder if I know there are teams specifically where they have a facility, but it's next to the stadium, so it's not like it's. So there's a lot that are in the same geographic location. Yeah. Like the Bills are there, they're just not in the stadium. Yeah. I honestly, from a player's perspective, I went to visit the Falcons once as a free agent, and I was blown away by how cool it was. They're in Flowery Branch, which is way north of Atlanta. And I don't know about how many miles it is. I just know that with Atlanta traffic, it takes the day I was there, it seemed like it took 90 minutes to get from Flowery Branch to Atlanta. It's in the suburbs, and it's in like the country suburbs. Mm-hmm. So it was like a college campus. They had their huge bubble. They had their facility that overlooked the practice field. They had multiple fields. But they had athletic dorms, like the equivalent of college athletic dorms, where their younger players or guys who had just been signed could actually stay there. During training camp, they stayed right there, like in dorms, basically.
Oh, that's cool.
Really cool. And it's a nice environment because you're secluded. You can just dial in. I think guys with families probably appreciate just being able to be closer to work but still have a house with a yard and everything. Yeah. So I could see the advantages to it strictly from a player's perspective. From the community's perspective, I don't think it affects anything one way or the other. Most people, by and large, they never see the players working out or going to meetings anyway, so whether they're doing it at the stadium or not, this does seem like maybe the most reasonable solution if the Texans feel like, man, it's a constant distraction having all this stuff going on. We're trying to just conduct our business, but all off season long you got circuses and dirt tracks being constructed and everything else. Yeah.
And I don't know how many people understand the totality of the relationship the Texans have with NRG Stadium. They are tenants in that stadium. The Rockets control Toyota Center, like all those concerts and everything. Like Fertittas get the benefit of anything that happens in the Toyota Center. That's just the nature of the arrangement that the Rockets have with that venue. It's not that way for the Texans. They're a tenant there the same way Disney on Ice is a tenant there and the rodeo is a tenant there and whatnot. And Hannah McNair has some interesting quotes in here. She says this: "It's disruptive. It's something we struggle with throughout the year. We don't know who's going to be there," meaning in the stadium, whether it's a contortionist or Princess Disney on Ice, whatever it is, you're constantly walking through it. And the money quote here is, "We've outgrown the space." And that's kind of the feeling. This is kind of the next step in being a big boy franchise is having the headquarters like Dallas has with Frisco. I'm curious with the Atlanta one, Seth. What's it called again? Flowery Branch, the city that it's in. What's the equivalent for Houston in terms of how far outside of the city or how far from the stadium it was?
Oh gosh, you know what? There might be a lot of similarities in terms of the fact that just Atlanta is very spread out and everything.
It's like Katy. Is it like?
I would think it felt. I'm trying to. It's almost even like, okay, forget distance, but almost just the way things feel. Yeah. It almost would feel like it's outside of Katy because Katy's become so big that it's very connected. It felt to me. I mean, it was out next to one of those big dammed lakes up there. Yeah. DAMMED lakes. Yep. There was they were telling me about how much hunting and fishing there was all around. So in terms of how it felt like you were down in Manville, maybe even before Manville started growing up.
Yeah.
So something like that. It was for them to get a similar experience but not have to drive forever. I think they'd want to go south, like towards Manville way. That's
where a lot of guys are to begin with because the stadium is south right now. Compared to things, our stadium's not downtown like Atlanta's is. So we've outgrown the space is an interesting quote. Now, is there any connection here?
Real quick.
Yeah.
So Flowery Branch to downtown Atlanta is 1 hour, 9 minutes, 44 miles.
Okay.
So that's obviously with traffic.
You're right. That's like a little beyond Katy, so 44 miles. I mean, the stadium then truly becomes just a game day thing. If you're.
I mean, it's right next to Nantahala National Forest.
Yeah, right.
It's really like it's a nice country environment.
You sound like as you were describing it, I'm like, yeah, this sounds like Huntsville. Like you're out even beyond the woodlands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so.
Oh, it's on Lake Lanier too.
Okay.
So at any given time, you can go fishing and a corpse can float up while you're fishing.
It's a beautiful thing. You can.
Doesn't Lake Lanier have the most? It's got a ridiculous number of drownings. Yeah, yeah. Those dammed lakes.
Yeah.
They're really dangerous because they get deep real fast.
Yeah.
It's an old ravine that was filled in, so it goes from wading height to 200 feet deep.
Yep. And we know the Rockets, if we're trying to draw a local analogy here, they just opened their own practice facility this past summer, 75,000 square feet. It's 10 minutes from Toyota Center, $70 million to build. This sounds like a bigger project just because you're talking about practice football fields as opposed to practice basketball courts. You're moving your whole headquarters there as well into some sort of facility. I guess the connection, if I had to guess, educated guess, the connection to any stadium project with NRG, a renovation of NRG, is that at least you're clearing out the business space in there to make the stadium a little bit more modular for whatever it is you're trying to do to make NRG. Right now, the stated goal by the McNairs, by the county, by the rodeo, is that we want to make NRG state-of-the-art. The ability to do that is, to me, a little bit dubious just based on logistics, if nothing else, how the stadium is structured now and the necessity of finding the time to renovate it when that stadium is being used the entire year long.
There's some things that, in terms of one thing that C.J. Stroud and others have noted is they'd love to get people into the stadium earlier.
Yes.
And, I mean, you just think about your game day experience going in. And, all right, you got to go through security, all that. And there's ways to maybe make that more efficient. But then once you pass security, okay, single file on these ridiculously long escalators. And don't worry, we'll all get you in there by kickoff.
Single file to get through a second gate for the right to go up that escalator.
Yeah,
there's like 3 or 4 bottlenecks to get into the stadium. And if you've seen SoFi, or if you've seen the renderings, like Cleveland's going to build a new stadium here soon, and the artist renderings, which are AI-generated, like drone-type videos of what the whole space would look like. You watch and see what their renderings are of the get into the stadium experience, and you're like, oh, my God, that is absolutely delightful. It's this wide-open area that basically just feeds directly into the stadium. It's incredible.
That's it's one of those things, too. I'm sure when they break all this down, it's all the little minor inconveniences that end up adding up to the total experience. Yeah. And I think that there's some stuff that even you yourself might not feel like, oh, yeah, whatever, that's not a big deal. It all adds up, and you don't even consciously necessarily want to make it as easy to just go park your car, have a few drinks, and then just get into the game.
That's it. Couple more.
When I was at Buffalo, though, this is what annoys me, though, is Buffalo had one of the oldest stadiums. And when I went to that game, I remember I did the pregame from the Buffalo game that day where it ended up raining like crazy.
2021. Yep, 2021.
But it was almost like I was looking out at the stands and wondering, how is this going to get so full right beforehand? And then lo and behold, I went out to go out. I was going to go out and try to meet my brother for a few minutes before the game. I opened the door from the press box, and it was almost like a cartoon. I just saw this wave of people coming towards me.
Went right back in.
I went right back in. I felt like I was Jon Snow, about to stand up to an army all by myself or something.
Yes.
And that's an old stadium. So I don't listen. Don't tell me how hard it is. Just show me the baby, okay? Don't tell me about the pain. Spit that baby out.
That's right.
Give me my easy egress and whatever the opposite gress is.
Yes.
Ingress and egress.
Egress and ingress. Couple more quotes here from Hannah, which I think people are going to like to hear. There's probably anything that has to do with the Texans in the stadium. There's probably a bit of PTSD over what happened with the Oilers back in the day. So it's always good to hear the McNairs say what we know they're feeling about Houston. Hannah says in this article, I think most of us in Houston remember that feeling back in the 90s, and we don't want to experience that again as a city, referencing the Oilers leaving for Nashville. Personally, this is Hannah, personally, for the families, for businesses, it left a hole in the heart of Houston when that happened. But the best outcome of franchise to Houston, that's part of our duty to the city, to our fans as well, to make sure we have a good outcome here.
Yeah, I think as I've said before, I would be really, really, really shocked if the McNairs ever decided to move away from Houston, just because I know how important it is to Cal to carry on his father's legacy. And his father, the first meeting we ever had as a team with Bob McNair, like when the players first met Bob McNair and he came in and spoke to us, we were down in the bowels of the Astrodome because our locker room was in the Astrodome that first offseason. And he basically told us a story of how the Oilers had left and a few years went by and he's looking around and nobody's bringing a team. So he said, almost as a matter of civic duty,
yes,
we got to get a team in here. And so it's never, with Bob McNair, obviously, he treated it like a business because he's not a dummy. But it was as much, it seemed to me as a player, something he felt was a civic obligation or duty as well as a business venture.
Yeah, and the McNairs, they don't shy away from that. This generation doesn't shy away from that. I agree with what you said. I'd be shocked. I mean, I'd be stunned if it even got close to something where there was a threat to move. I would be mildly surprised if there's ever even any saber rattling by Cal McNair and Hannah McNair over to the extent that they're looking at other cities or something like that.
Like Katie Blackburn, the Bengals.
Yes, the anti-McNair.
She just flat out said, sure, it's totally possible.
The Bengals' lease is up after this year. This story pops up yesterday. And this Katie Blackburn, who's already pissed off Trey Hendrickson by saying, well, you should be happy with whatever we offer you, you know? I have a quote right here.
This is a quote. We could, I guess, go wherever we wanted after this year if we didn't pick up the option. So, we'll see. Like I said, all these things will be done in due course.
Yeah. We play it day by day like everything else. We just have discussions and then make decisions at the appropriate time. Okay.
She's treating this like I treat conversations with my wife. I tell her all the time, listen, Brandy, I'll pick up and leave, damn it.
Seth, Katie Blackburn of his relationship.
That's how I lay down the law.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
God, I hope she's not listening.
Withholding your services. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But as someone who covers training camp, Seth, would you be excited to cover training camp at a different facility here? Yeah, Manville or wherever it is. This kind of pumped. It's something different, I might not be as excited when the commute out to Katy or Manville or Huntsville or wherever it is, whateverville. Yeah.
Get yourself a nice Airbnb,
Oh.
Just have to make a vacation of it.
That's not bad. That's not a bad idea at all. All right, Payne and Pendergast, you can text us 713-572-4610. People weighing in on where they think this thing should go. Someone suggesting Lake Jackson. And that would be great. Go to the lake during the day, a little practice in the morning, then to the lake during the day, a little water skiing.
Lake Jackson might be nice. That's a good idea too.
Yeah, a lake.
Well, Manville, compared to Flowery Branch, is still way closer. Commute time right now is 28 minutes from Manville
it's
to
not bad.
downtown
288 is way easier to use. I used to live down that way.
So this would be more like, if you wanted the Flowery Branch equivalent, you might be going out to Angleton or West Columbia.
It's pretty far, man. When you said it's an hour and whatever, oh, man.
That's during traffic, though.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Atlanta traffic, too.
7:30 in Atlanta, it's 7:35 a.m. right now. So